Welcome to Midwest Hunting and Outdoors by two dumbasses. We sit here at my place actually, and we're sitting at this table actually, Joel. That is part of the subject we were going to talk about, right?
Yeah, this episode's a little off the beaten path, but we've had a wood project that we've been working on for a long time, and we're very close to being completed with it. So we wanted to share it with our folks. It may not fit in 100% with our theme, but you've heard us reference the table we've been working on, so we thought we'd take the time to build an episode on it.
Yeah, and some of it, some of the wood actually came from our properties. So that's why we thought also it might fit. So I'll start with the story here a little bit. So 2 years ago, I built this table. It's kind of a bar. My wife wanted a bar, and I'd never done anything like this before. And I put in some corks. I used some old wine crates. The walnut wood is from Joel's family farm that trims it out, and then epoxy. And we have a local vendor, Sonny Schroeder, who basically we designed the base, and he built that for us. And we actually had another friend of ours locally who owns a restaurant, whom you'll meet later, and his name's Tony. And Tony and his wife really fell in love with this, and he came up with the idea that he would like to have us do a table for him.
Yeah, so he was building an addition to the restaurant, and we'll let Tony explain that. But the short story is he was building an addition to the restaurant, and he really wanted what he's calling a chef's table, which is, reservation only, kind of a special meal, gatherings, pre-weddings, kind of things like that. And then he also had some wood from his family farm that he wanted to use in it.
Yep. So what we ended up doing was Tony didn't have a real design in mind, and so we had several pieces of wood that we liked that would fit in here, and then we also wanted to incorporate some of Tony's ideas into that table, obviously. And I think the first thing we started with was, hey, what was going to be the main theme that we were going to put in here? And lo and behold, I had some trees that we had harvested from the farm, honey locust, and I did not expect this, but it had wormholes, grubs all the way through the whole, all the slabs, and I was super disappointed. And to be honest with you, I was gonna burn it, cut it all up. I didn't know what I was gonna do with it. And when Tony approached us, that's when, hey, and you could see nature's gifts of how they recreated that wood. We shared it with Tony, and Tony absolutely wanted them incorporated into this table.
And as you'll find out in one of the interview with Tony is Tony's very creative, artistic, very, very turned on by the shapes, colors, and things like that. So he fell in love with that wood right from the get-go.
Yeah. So, gosh, as Joel said, it's taken us a long time. We've learned a few things. Every time you use this epoxy, you're going to learn something. And while not perfect, it does have some great characteristics, and we are super happy with the output.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk through, and we'll you're going to see more pictures of the table as we progress through it than us talking in the background more than anything else. But let's maybe kind of walk through the steps of construction, right? So our thought was, one, we weren't going to build the bottom of this table. We didn't want anything to do, so we had a local vendor, Sonny, build a metal bottom for it, which was amazing, a piece of art by itself.
And he didn't just construct it. He also, the way he took this piece of steel is he put a patina on it. I don't want to divulge all his secrets, but he took an acid-based wash and let it do its wonders, and then cleaned it up, and boy, it's beautiful. I wish I would have done that on this table. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing on that bottom of that table that I would change it I wish I could just duplicate it on tables we got at home, right? So it's beautiful. He did a great job. However, it's made out of steel, and we found out pretty darn heavy to move around. So, but bottom line is hey, we kind of the strategy or tactic we had was we don't want anything to do with the legs and the foundation of the table. So they had that built, and then we wanted to keep it as close to a sheet of plywood size, or maybe a little less than that, for the bottom support to seal up the epoxy, and also give us a base to screw and secure the boards from the top. So we ended up with, it's just a little bit shy of 48 inches wide and just a little bit shy of 8 feet long, and just a couple inches narrower on both sides. And it turned out great. If I remember right, we started from the with the locust on the outside and kind of framed that in, and then started piecing wood on the inside. And then we'd secure it with screws and glue from the bottom and from the side where we could.
Yep. And then the other thing we did is, so this deep pour epoxy that you pour on, super important that you plug the gaps, because A, that epoxy is super expensive. 2 is it'll run out of your seams just like water. If you don't have that thing properly sealed, you're going to run into problems. And so what we did was we sealed all the way around the table, around the edges, underneath, and we found out we missed a couple places, but for the most part, and then we taped a few of the seams underneath, and that's super critical. The next thing is you got to do a seal coat, and I don't care who you are, do a seal coat. And if you don't, you'll know you missed something. And what the seal coat does is it takes that wood and seals it, because wood, corks, or whatever you have in there gives off air, right? And you can do some things to get rid of a few of the bubbles, but if you have something in your table that you didn't properly seal coat, it's going to be like Niagara Falls of air coming into your table.
Yeah, and as perfect and nice as this table is, there's some there was some opportunity for me to seal up some things with a seal coat before pouring on it. So we do have a few bubbles in there. We've taken care of some of them, most of them actually. But it's not only wood, Tim, but some of the. So as this table, Tony wanted to put some items in there: golf balls, ammunition, arrowheads, you name it. You'll see the pictures. There's all kinds of things that we put in there, and for the most part, most of those items were self-sealing, didn't leak air. But there's a couple items like the jackknives and a couple other things that, for whatever reason, have some bubbles coming out of them. So
absolutely,
it's tricky stuff. It's beautiful. It does a great job, this epoxy, but it is a tricky thing.
I can't wait for his patrons to see this, because I'm just tickled at how it looks. Gosh, how many different types of epoxy did we use, Joel?
Well, the company that we used was
Stone.
Yeah, Stone countertops out of Oregon. I think they're out of Portland, Oregon. I'd recommend it. It's good epoxy compared to the epoxies we've used. We use 2 or 3 different kinds now, and it's by far the best, I think. But we used 3 different kinds of epoxies from Stone Coat. One was a super thick seal coat, but most of the epoxy in that, they have a deep pour that you can pour up to 2 inches. So again, looking at the pictures, you'll see some of these cavities that we filled with the epoxy was almost 2 inches thick. And back in the old days, before we do this, you'd have to pour 1/8 of an inch at a time. So you'd have maybe 7 or 8, maybe 10 pours to get that full. And we were able to pour most of those in one pour.
So I have about almost 5 gallons of epoxy on this table. How many gallons do we have on Tony's?
I think we ended up with about 12 and a half. 12 and a half.
Oh,
yeah. I'd buy 5 gallons at a time. Oh, that's enough. No. 5 more gallons. That's enough. Not quite.
And then we got this whole COVID thing. I mean, so it's not like you can just, with this whole COVID, the supply chain for products has just been totally messed up. So, hey, if you want 5 gallons, you're thinking I'm going to order it for next week. Oh, guess what? No. How many weeks do you have to wait?
Yeah, there was a period there where we had to wait 6 weeks, I think, for an order to come in to get back in stock. So.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing that was new to both of us from woodworking and more from the epoxy is it's the first time that I've used color in the epoxy. So you'll see in these pockets that the bottom, these pockets are filled with items, but your idea, I'll give you credit for it, is, hey, what if we could paint that black? And then it went from paint black to, hey, how about if we put some colored epoxy in there? So we purchased some metallic black powder, and we poured just the bottom, 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch of those pockets with that black metallic epoxy. And man, I think that just was the ticket, man. It sets off those pockets and
gives a little texture to it. I'd do that again as well.
I would do it again.
Normally, I'm not a big fan of that whole colored epoxy because I think it takes away from the beauty of the wood. But if you can use it like we used it, and I think knead it into the design, man, I think it's really beautiful.
It was sharp. So, yeah, we'd love to hear your feedback from the podcast and the pictures and some video of the table. And again, we know it's not perfect. We learned a lot going through it. I know Tony and Kim are super happy with it. I'm excited for them to get the addition of the restaurant opened up and people using that table and see what kind of feedback we get.
You know, there's one other thing is that this table here, everything I was dealing with was an inch board, right? So and we're dealing with wood, and wood's not a perfect material. So it will warp, bend, etc. Well, I can muscle it. I can muscle an inch board. But this table has 2-inch boards. And let me tell you, you aren't muscling it. So again, we're dealing with imperfect materials, as beautiful as it is. Be prepared if you go after something like that. You better have your ducks in a row to make things look great. We had a couple instances to where things weren't just right, and we were trying to muscle it, and you're just not gonna muscle that wood.
Yeah. We had some big frustrations around even getting some of the 2-inch cut straight and whatnot. But yeah, again, looking back at it, it was a good project. We estimate we got a little bit over 100 hours in it from beginning to end, and it's a neat project. I'm pretty proud of it. I know you're proud of it. We're proud of it. And love to have you go take a look at it.
Just as an FYI, I mean, some people are going to ask, you're to buy this table somewhere in the neighborhood 10 to 12 grand probably.
Yeah, it's not cheap. And obviously Tony's got a lot less than that, and we're not charging him for any labor or anything like that. But yeah, just the epoxy alone is probably $1,500 in the table.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
So with that, let's get on to the table.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. And again, give us your comments. If you get a chance to go up to Brick Street here in Albee, Iowa, and see Tony and Kim at Brick Street, great place to eat, great place to drink, and take a look at the table and tell them the two dumbasses sent you.
Yeah, super, super great people. Thank you. Hey, Jake.
Tim, how you doing?
Pretty good. What are we doing here today?
Yeah, so we're getting close to the, knock on wood, if not the last pour, really close to the last pour. So we just got done sanding this with 220 grit and 80 grit where it was rough. But we're planning on putting another small 1/16 of an inch coat of epoxy over top of this, and then get the edges nice and complete, and see where we end up.
How long have we been? Hey, Jake, what are we doing here, pal?
So we are getting ready to mix up some epoxy. This epoxy is, trying to get my stopwatch going here. This epoxy is 1-to-1 ratio.
Hang on, I'm going to zoom in on this stone coat. So stone coat B, and that's what you just poured in there.
Start with the B and you mix the A with it. And we're going to make a gallon. The A is like super thick. And we're going to mix it for about 8 minutes. Tim, we're on location today. First of all, before we do that, we're a week before Christmas and we got cheer in front of us. So happy holidays and Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Merry
Merry Christmas. Cheers.
But we on special location today and with the owners of Brick Street.
Yeah.
So let's have Tony and Kim introduce themselves and then we want to talk through. This is kind of the final chapter of this table before it hits the public. So Tony, Kim, you guys want to introduce yourself real quick?
I'm Tony
I'm Kim.
Johnson, and we're the owners of Brick Street Grill here in Albee, Iowa.
So tell us a little bit about Brick Street. It's how long have you guys owned it?
Well, it'll be
5.5 years.
Yeah, going on. It'll be 6 years next year, and bought it 5.5, 6 years ago. Moved back home to be back around family. Born and raised here in Albia, and bought this little bar and building this big restaurant going alongside of it, and brought my wife out here, transplanted her from Phoenix, Arizona to Albia, Iowa to come enjoy the beautiful winter months. And
And I know people can't see this right now, but you've built quite an addition to your restaurant. I mean, you've
Yes.
probably tripled its size, I think.
oh, absolutely, yeah. When I bought
It'll be
it,
amazing.
when I bought it, it was just a small little bar on that side. Building was built in 1904, the original building. We've just added on, and tried to keep as much of the natural history of the building in place as possible, and adding a whole new restaurant onto that.
So why don't we talk that a little bit? Why don't we talk a little bit about, I mean, from a restaurant perspective, you've got the bar side and then you've got this side. What are some of the goals that you have for the restaurant as you see going forward?
Yeah.
It'll be nicer dining, definitely. We're gonna have a brought-in menu with steaks, pastas, seafood, a
Yeah.
bunch of specials that Tony will create.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's nicer-
my whole
nicer dining
background's fine
experience.
dining, so want to bring that available to Albia, while at the same time we'll still keep the bar atmosphere. So that's kind of the way we've constructed everything, to keep kind of a bar side and then a nicer dining area, to where we can have, a separate, I guess, more family atmosphere on this side, and then keep more a bar atmosphere on that side.
Kind of the best of both worlds, really.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Ultimately.
So,
Yeah.
and I mean, you'll still be able to do all the burgers and tenderloins and everything on this side as well, but also be able to option a lot nicer options, or offer nicer options for, people that want to have nicer dining options around the area.
So, I mean, you guys commissioned Joel and I to build this table. How's this
Yes.
table fit into those goals?
Well, the table is absolutely just
Beautiful.
phenomenal to begin with, and so it all kind of a lot of the decor and everything you see in the new restaurant here is all a homage to my dad. All the woodwork is from my father's farm, which most of the wood in this table is, other than the locust and stuff from you. And so it was just, wanting to build something to really, I guess, honor my family background. Like I said, I'm born and raised, graduated high school, everything here in town. And so a lot of all the stuff you'll see in here is from my father, my grandfather. There's a marble down there given to him by his great-grandmother. So just decades of my family background, I guess. And, just really wanted some way to honor my dad in his passing. And so
You've
this
really
is-
created a family heirloom.
Yeah,
for
absolutely,
us.
yes.
So,
Yeah, how many generations of artifacts do you think you have in here?
Well,
at
like,
least 3.
yeah, like I know directly there's my grandfather's, my dad's, mine, and my son's stuff in here.
4.
And then, like I said, that marble over there, it's hard to see it's a marble, but that little lamb you see in the corner there, that was given to him by his great-grandmother, I believe it was, from early 1900s. So there's a lot of years of legacy in this table, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's all permanently preserved. I mean, I think
Absolutely, yeah.
How many gallons of poly do we have on
I
that?
think we ended up with around 15, just to round it off. I think it was just shy of that, but it was
Quite a-
it was a lot.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
absolutely.
I think I said poly, but it's really 2-part epoxy. But
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of holes in here, and then when we did fill the table, as you've seen in the video already, anything underneath the table that seeps through and has to fill up.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
There's more capacity in the table than what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I gotta say,
It's
it
gorgeous.
honestly was a lot bigger undertaking than I originally imagined it to be. You started in your garage, and then after we got the base built for it, and you started on the top, we had to move it up here to build everything in place. It's 4 inches solid thick top, and
oh yeah,
God, I can't imagine what 1,400 pounds or close to now.
We're not moving it.
Yeah.
Don't ask us to move it.
Yeah.
Tony, so
People
we're-
ask where it's gonna go. I'm like, right there, where it's built.
yeah, it's beautiful.
What now that the table's here, and I know this part of the restaurant isn't open yet, soon to be, a date to
Yep.
be announced.
Yeah.
But what's your intent of the use of the table?
Well, ideally, I refer to it as the chef's table. With that being said, I mean it's welcome to families and everything, but the way I ideally picture it would be doing specialty dinners, groups of 4, 6, 8 people, wanting to do a specialty, evening out, like a pairing dinner where just be a totally specially prepared menu. You call and ask to reserve it. You want a dinner, 3, 4, 5, 7 course, what you want, any allergies, anything you absolutely won't eat. And then other than that, just create a special meal if you want it paired with beer, wine, or whatnot. But just to make it really just a very special evening for a group of, friends, family, whatever it may be that want a nice dining experience, don't want to have to travel up to Des Moines or whatnot. I can do it here and, like I said, just kind of create a specialty menu. Nothing off the menu, or maybe some things off the menu, but just kind of depending on what it may be. Just kind of play it by ear and totally have a total special evening. I'll prepare the food and serve it, and Kim will help serve everything,
Well, I can't wait. For me, I just can't wait. I'm excited just listening to.
And I've witnessed some of your creations. I mean, your creations are great. I mean,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I mean, I could sit here and go through half a dozen right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But this is going to be super exciting. Is there one piece in the table you would say, hey, means something special to you beyond all the other pieces?
Well, honestly, I guess to begin with, the way the whole thing started, I guess, was kind of this area over here on the bottom right-hand side here. It kind of started as a homage to my parents. And so that little area there has my mom and dad's business cards and some of their world travels and stuff. And like I said, I moved back here 6 years ago. I lost my dad to leukemia, and that's why I moved back home to be around my mom and family, and started building this. And then this idea kind of came about. Originally I didn't plan on it being anything near the scale it is now.
Yeah.
I just talked to you guys about building a butcher block table for me, and this is what it has transpired to be. But it's just, all of it really. It's, like I said, all family heirlooms. But my mom's cards are in there, and dad's little shooting homage over here, and just great memories of family time and growing up. And
it was a joy to build. I mean, really beautiful table.
Yeah.
What a great tribute.
Yeah. In closing, before we cut everything off, let's do a little. Advertising for Brick Street again.
Sure.
So the name of the restaurant, where it's located, and how you can be reached.
Absolutely.
Sure. It's Brick Street Grill in Albia, Iowa.
Yep. We're at 24A Avenue West. Number is 515-932-5442. Please give a call anytime. We don't really do reservations at this point. It's first come, first serve. But once we get to opening this area, and then this table especially, like those types of parties would be by reservation only. But
and we're on Facebook as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a Brick Street Grill, Johnson style.
Albia. Yep.
Albia, and so.
Well, I know Tim mentioned this, but I don't think we can say this enough. I mean, to be part of this is an honor.
And it's
special to us. And man, I like I said, I can't wait to sit down on here and have a whatever course meal. A burger, if that's what it is. I'm just excited to use the table.
Well, if it's a burger, it's going to be a damn fancy burger.
But thank you guys so much for giving us the opportunity to do
this. Thank you guys very much for everything. This is just
so much.
Beautiful,
it has turned out even more gorgeous than I could ever have imagined it. And just, like I said, in the beginning, I was just thinking just a plain butcher block table, and then after back and forth talking, and
Very special.
It has become if anything ever happens with the restaurant, I will be building a room on my house to put this table in.
That's awesome.
Well, if you're in the Albia area, stop by and see Tony and Kim at Brick Street. And until then, Tim, be safe, have fun, and get outdoors.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening or watching our show. We have some exciting topics and guests coming up.
We ask that you subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
We look forward to hearing your suggestions for topics.
Questions and comments. This is Two Dumbasses signing off. Until next time,
Be safe,
have fun, and get outdoors.